For anybody who might be interested in maybe wanting 1 or 2 hives on their property, kind of what advice would you have for them?
Okay, so I mean, we're standing here on a lovely termite area. As you can see, you know, we're coming out of winter, not much shade cover, but usually this is nice and shady. We've got things blooming, so this is a perfect spot for a hive, I would say. And on this area you could probably have 3 or 4 hives. So you could have a small apiary if you wanted. Okay. So yeah, to think about, it's always good to have hives a bit elevated, especially if you're in an area where there's fire risk.
Yeah.
And something to think about if you are going to be harvesting in situ is to have a hive at eye level. Much easier to harvest.
Yeah.
Then is that a bee? Okay, so we should get out of here. Let's move away a little because that's they're checking us out. Let's stand here rather. So we're standing at the back of the hive now, which is better.
Less threatening to them.
Less threatening. That was a scout bee coming out to just check what's happening here. And I've actually just washed my hair, so probably doesn't like the smell of the shampoo that I'm using. Okay. My advice would be to find a nice shaded location, slightly elevated if you can. Otherwise, a nice horizontal branch in a tree. Paranaries are a beekeeper's favorite tree. Really? Because they often have nice
very horizontal
branches. Yeah. And then, you know, if you're doing this system, you either put a hook and hang it up by wire, or you can do stands, or you can put it directly in the arm of a tree. So the bee's flight path should be kept open. And the other thing to do prior to putting up the hive would be to slash around the area, keep it a bit open, not only because of fire, but because it's much easier than when you're going there kitted up in your bee suit to go and harvest. Okay. So I would think about that. Hive placement, make sure it's in the shade. But you know, hives can be out in the blazing sun as well, can work. If it's in your garden, just don't have it too close to the house. Don't have it too close to the house.
What distance would you recommend usually?
Certainly not this distance.
This is 10, 15 meters.
But this catch box was being waxed up on the veranda here. I went for lunch, colonized.
Oh wow.
And then you have a problem because you can't just move the hive to where you want. It's 1 meter a day.
Really?
Or over 2 kilometers. Those are your options for moving a hive. So that's why if you're going to wax up your hive, keep it indoors and then move it, especially if it's swarming season. If it's not colonized, you have to rebait, have a look inside the hive, see what's going on, and then either remove it if it's not swarming season or try another location. So they're 2 very different hives. So what we have here, this white one that's hanging on a hook in this tree is it's what we call a Sumbawanga hive, and it's from southern Tanzania. So in top bar hives, you get the Kenyan top bar hive, and then there are slight variations in Tanzania. Okay. And it's slightly different, but the premise is that it's top bar, meaning that all your frames, your bars,
they sit down.
They sit on the top of the hive. And then here we have, this is loosely based on a traditional log hive.
Oh, okay, yes.
But log hives are certainly not sustainable.
No, it's hugely disruptive.
Hugely destructive. You take the entire bark of the tree is killed, you know. So this is loosely based on that. You call it a fixed comb or a meru hive is the other name for this hive. So you can use any material that you have that's, you know, affordable. These are offshoots of plywood and whatnot, some malata for the roof. And the premise here is that the comb is fixed. You don't have a frame or bar that you can take loose and cut the comb out. So here's that Sumbawanga hive. You know, it's been painted. You would never paint the front of the hive, but this is where you bait with wax and or propolis on the entrance to really entice the bees in. Yeah, and these are the frames that we use. You will see we've got a groove here. Well, it's not a groove, it's a what do you say? It's
reverse groove?
Yeah, reverse groove. This, you can either get a tray and dip, or you take a paintbrush. I get a paintbrush and you just do a thin layer of wax.
Yeah.
The one really important measurement in beekeeping with top bar hives is this measurement, the width of this, which is 32 millimeters, 3.2 centimeters. That's because the African bee, Apis mellifera scutellata, builds combs of a certain size, and it's different from the West African honeybee, it's different from the European honeybee.
Really?
So that's a really important dimension. And then we have a half bar, which is right at the end of the hive. So 25 bars are in the Sumbawanga hive, and you place them like so.
One after the other.
And then it fits perfectly with this. And then the idea is that when you're harvesting, you use your hive tool and you pry this open. So they would never build on this because it's not waxed and it's much smaller.
And it doesn't give them that,
You see, it's just a half bar. Yeah, and then you can see here there's propolis where the bees have really made sure that they've sealed that off nice and tight. And this can be quite difficult to remove a bar. But you've got to be very gentle, and then you lift it up like so. You would never twist it because they're quite heavy. Who's going to harvest your honey?
I was going to say there's a lot more involving than I think to most lay people would just say, oh, put out the thing, get the bees in there and harvest honey.
Exactly.
There's a lot more that goes into it.
But it's also fun and it's learning. So I would definitely say if you're going to be doing it for the first time, and there are a lot of good resources on how to do it, is always harvest with a second person. Have one person smoking. All they're doing is smoking on command of whoever's harvesting. It just makes life a lot easier. You don't even need a smoker. You can make a smoker so easy. You can take a tin, just a tin can, cut it in half, perforate holes, take a little wire so that you can hold it, and then burn your material in there, and then
kind of
hold it where you need and blow. And just on materials for putting in your smoker, I found the best is dung. So when I go to a national park, I often collect elephant dung.
Yes, because that would be very fibrous in the end.
Otherwise, a good cow dung is also really good. Straw, sometimes leaves, anything that smokes well. But never ever, rubber products or plastic.
Nothing that's petroleum based.
For obvious reasons. It's fun bottling your own honey and having honey from your own little piece of land. And from 2 or 3 frames, if they're really full of honey, you can get 20 odd jars.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a fun process. And as I think you learn every time you do it.